Big explosion over here!
Mirror's Edge Catalyst. This 2016 first-person action-adventure game is a reboot of a 2008 title that had a very unique gameplay style based around parkour.
I'm on my way.
Though not the most popular of titles, both games were definitely a refreshing new take on the first-person genre, focusing much less on combat and much more on movement. Now, I do need to preface that this was my first playthrough, and I did originally want to try the original, but it ended up giving me motion sickness, so I decided to play through the reboot instead. So this is my retrospective review of Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Dogen sends his best. Enjoy your freedom.
I can't say I'm familiar with this franchise or story, so this will likely elicit some disagreements, but it is my honest opinion. Now, considering this reboot itself is already about 8 years old and there really hasn't been much attention on it, you'd be forgiven for assuming this game isn't worth your time. But this game and the concept behind it is still such a unique experience even today. Unfortunately, there has obviously been some disappointing news regarding the shutting down of servers and online play, and the game no longer supports achievements, so it is a shadow of its former self. But as a single player game, I was surprised by how much fun I did end up having.
I guess 2 years of peace and quiet is all I get.
Yeah, I missed you too.
The music and soundtrack I would describe as really mellow and understated, especially in comparison to the more larger-than-life games out there. As a result, I think it's nice and chill and really helps to set the mood and tone for the game. Some of the more bigger moments are more exciting as expected, but I probably wouldn't say anything stand out. But I mean, it's fine, it's not really that type of game. The voice acting though, I was pretty impressed with.
We were, till I realized that there's no peaceful way we can rid ourselves of the conglomerate and the families behind it.
I mean, I wouldn't say it should win any awards, but I think it does a really good job and showcases a uniqueness to each character.
High-profile data grab. Very good script.
An Elysium data grab? You think she's ready?
How about you get off my case?
You're going with her.
Like, I don't think this was ever meant to be a AAA style game intended to outsell the likes of COD, but I feel like I've seen worse voice work in bigger games, so to me, they've done a really good job here.
When do you need the data by?
I was hoping today.
It'll take at least a month just to crack the surface layer.
Speaking of which, I think the whole performance capture piece is also great in general. There's little nuances in the way the characters behave that really brings them to life, especially during cutscenes.
It's enough if I get access to the Allcom gateway. I can remote it from there.
On it.
Now, onto the story. Again, I don't think you should come into this one expecting an epic tale of discovery and interesting character development or anything like that. What you do get is a somewhat predictable, cliched Hollywood experience, and honestly, I'm fine with that. I mean, in fairness, they've definitely expanded upon the first game, and although it may have changed things, I feel like it's a much more fleshed out and interesting story. I feel like developers can often get too caught up in the whole idea that the story has to be this great epic or massive in scope when simpler is sometimes better. After all, the real meat of this game is in its gameplay, and that is where it shines.
You have till morning. Don't disappoint me.
When it comes to gameplay, personally, I feel like Mirror's Edge is much more refined in this iteration than the first. I'm pretty sure I'll get some disagreement here, and I mean, I don't think the first game was bad, but I feel like it's just a lot more polished and up to date in this game. Like, the first game is still very playable today, but things change and progress over time, and I think this just plays a lot better. Movement feels smoother, catching onto ledges works, the whole flow feels better. And there's a real feel of momentum in this one. And the motion sickness for me is far less apparent. And maybe I'm childish, but I found this hilarious.
Hey! How about you find another punching bag, Faith? I'm not it.
One thing I really respect is that they haven't just straight up given you a gun and turned it into something else. Like, they've obviously still understood the original and made changes hoping to improve upon the first, but they haven't completely taken it apart. The thing is, there's not enough innovation in my opinion, and I think that's why this game never really took off. Even with all the skills and upgrades, the whole gameplay and parkour loop can definitely get stale after a while. There is really only so much game with that moveset before things start to get repetitive, and understandably so. I expect a lot of people may have gotten bored before the end of the story.
Faith, I can't breathe.
Now, the visuals. It is nigh on impossible to talk about this game without mentioning the absolutely amazing visual splendor that's been built. The graphics in this game are immensely impressive, and granted, it's probably something necessary because of the way this game is presented, but it is still a sight to behold. I think what I appreciated most is that there's a real confidence in the way the world has been crafted. Bright, loud colors mark each of the areas. A clinical white and grey overworld map showcases the city, and the magnificent sapphire sky above gives you a real sense of scale. I do wish they had more variety in a sense, because you do start to feel like there's not really much of a difference whilst exploring. Like, I wish there was a dirty slum area, or maybe somewhere with a bit more greenery, but I suppose it goes against the whole overarching corporocratic theme of the game. I do think the overall art style is really cool though. And some games owe their impressive visuals to the art style, and I think there's definitely an element of that here. But for the most part, the combination of both is just really well done. The gorgeous backdrop, the use of colors, and the lighting effects, it's all just stunning. Now, with everything said, Mirror's Edge Catalyst isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea. I mean, even for me, honestly, it's a one and done type of game, and the story is somewhat forgettable.
This game has no damn logic.
You'll get used to it.
But I do appreciate the uniqueness of it. I appreciate the much more mellow and moody soundtrack. I appreciate the gameplay that focuses much less on combat. I appreciate the stunning visuals and lighting and color. But most of all, I appreciate the attempt at trying to create something different.
That's it?
What else is there?
Something that has started to feel really lacking these days. And even if it's not for everyone,
Stop. Just stop.
I'm still glad this game exists, and I think it's worth trying even in 2024. If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I'm still looking to upload a brand new video once a fortnight, but be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.